Did you know that Three Sisters Garden not only produces food, but also improves soil health? Here with me today is Mr. Kevin Kam, County Extension Director and Extension Agent for Community Development and Sustainable Ag. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks, Jana. Glad to be here.
Good. I'm glad you're here. So let's talk about it. That name, Three Sisters Garden, is just kind of like intriguing to me. So what is that?
Sure. Well, the three elements would be the three sisters, and we've got them here today. I brought them. So one element would be corn.
Okay.
That we have here.
Right.
The other element would be beans.
Okay.
And the other one, the other sister, would be squash. And they're grown together.
Right. I was just going to say, so how do you go about planting this whole sisters garden or Three Sisters Garden?
Sure. Well, this is not a new concept. It goes all the way back to before America was even founded with the Native Americans.
Okay.
And they knew that these three sisters needed to support each other, and by them supporting each other, they worked very well and harmoniously grew together. So for example, we're going to plant the corn in a mound. Okay. Now the corn, as you know, grows up into a stalk.
Right.
And it needs a lot of nitrogen from the soil.
Okay.
All right. So as that's starting to grow up, then we go and we plant our beans.
Wow.
Our beans have this interesting thing of taking the nitrogen out of the air and putting it into the soil.
Wow.
And the corn needs the nitrogen. And the beans also need something to grow up.
Okay.
So they're going to grow around the corn stalk, which is providing stability.
Okay.
And if you think about it, the older sister, the three sisters, always provides support for the other two.
Typically that order, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then lastly, after a few weeks after the beans have been planted, we're going to plant our squash.
Okay.
The interesting thing about our squash is that it grows low to the ground, and it has large leaves that when it grows.
Right, right.
And those are to shade the soil, keeping it moist and also preventing a lot of weeds.
Wow.
So they work very well together.
So, working together, companion planting, is that what we would
Correct.
call it?
Correct.
So what other plants would be good to do like companion gardening with?
So there's the unofficial fourth sister for this.
Okay.
That we would have some sunflowers or
Okay.
some sort of flowers. Now, Jana, I'm going to ask you a question.
I'm ready.
When you see flowers in a garden, what's usually around those flowers?
Weeds or bees or bees. I'm going to say bees.
Yes, bees. And bees are our pollinators.
Okay.
And these need to be pollinated. So by putting that plant companion in here, we're going to have our squash pollinated.
Okay.
Now our beans are self-pollinated, and this is wind pollinated, so we want to make sure that we have a lot of corn. But also too, it looks very pretty.
Absolutely. It's almost like perfect together.
You got it.
So these are, vegetables that we need. So particularly, are these really good for us to eat like in our diet? So if I wanted to plant this, is it going to be good for me?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think this is a great meal together. So our corn is going to give us some carbohydrates that we really need. Our beans are going to be giving us some amino acids and other things, which are very good. And the squash is like a superfood. It's going to give us vitamin A and all of the really good stuff that we need.
Good.
One other thing that's very unique with this is that these plants, we can take and save the seeds from it, and then we can use them later.
Wow.
So it's got a lot more uses than just now.
Right,
we can use it later on down the line.
That's awesome. So there was a little fun fact that we talked about a little bit before we got started with the silk of the corn here. So what was the fun fact?
So the silk of the corn, as it gets pollinated in the air and pollen hits all of these tassels and then it pollinates the corn, and then that creates the kernel on here.
Wow.
So it's very interesting. And all of these, as you know, the annoying thing that when you're eating corn, you want to get it off, but that's going to create all of these right here.
Wow, that's awesome. I feel like I'm a popcorn enthusiastic person. So when I see that, I'm like, I automatically think of like popcorn. So that's cool.
Exactly.
Fun fact.
And one thing too, also too, with the shuck, if you think about it, we can peel it and boil some corn, or we can soak these in water and then throw it onto our grill. And then roast it up that way too. You can put some butter and I like putting a little bit of lime and chili pepper with it. Yeah, and then it gives it a nice zest.
Yum.
But it provides the home, and everything in here is so perfect. And then what do you do with the scraps? You can just go compost it and start it again.
Even better. And I'm thinking too, fiber when I see all of this stuff too. So that's important for our diet.
Yes, it's very important.
So I learned so much today. Thank you, Kevin, so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Right. Now you know how to improve the health of your soil and harvest food at the same time.